Hey guys, this is Rob speaking, and in today's little dev update we are going to talk about the launch of the open beta version for this big update. And things have been going according to plan, and indeed, as I said in the last little dev update, we are going to release the open beta today, which is Friday, our time at least. Okay, so what is in there, you ask? Well, let's have a quick look. First of all, there is a lot more content in here for all you car builders. So if we just go in here and make a new car model, you can see that, oh yes, that has changed a lot. There's a lot more cars here. We have upgraded the game from, I think it was about 40 cars, and now we are around 190 cars. So a good 150 extra, or 4 times as many as before. And as you can see, they are not only having their main variants, but also sub variants of the bodies and weird thumbnails with tires being all over the place. But yeah, as you can see here, there are plenty of cars. You can use this menu by just holding your right mouse button and scrolling around. So yeah, there's a lot more for you to use in your various car builds. Of course, more cars are coming, and we still have not finished the work of transporting them over from old key engine, modifying them, making them better, and then implementing them in Unreal 4. So there are quite a few more cars coming, and that is something that is going to continue during this open beta phase, and there will probably be quite a bunch of cars being dropped on you. Once we go public with this build, there should be another 20 or maybe 30 cars coming until then. Alright, so that's pretty good news, I would say. So let's take a look at what more is in here. The biggest changes in this update overall have been made to the engine designer and the stuff surrounding the engine designer. That is because, again, in order to implement the campaign, we actually need to move from the inside out, because an engine on itself, well, it doesn't do so much, but a car needs an engine in order to work and to be calculated. The campaign needs the car to work, and thus we have to go from the inside out. Part of that process is building an AI which can build cars dynamically depending on various input parameters. And that is an absolute must for the light campaign to work, and we have finished the first version of the engine building AI, as you may have seen in previous little dev updates. So if we go in here, you can select a demographic. We have put this engine AI in here for you to tinker with and see if you can find some things that are maybe not quite so optimized. And of course, for all those newcomers who are not that well versed in making good engines yet, you can maybe compare, like, I go and make a sandbox engine for a supercar in 1970, and then you go like, but let's take a look what the game thinks I should be doing. Also, I want to build it for Fruinia because that's the market for supercars, right? So you go in here, and there we have it. There's your supercar engine for 1970. That one looks pretty scary, actually. Well, that's a lot of power for 1970. But yeah, I think that would certainly work. Alright, so that is all pretty fantastic. The AI is running really well already. Another aspect of this big update, of course, are the challenges, which we wanted to bring back. And you are wondering, like, okay, what do the challenges have to do with the light campaign? And it's the making of the light campaign, or the re-implementation of it. And the answer to that is they are a very good test to see if your balance overall is correct and what components are overpowered and which ones are underpowered and so on. Generally helping us to balance things before we move on and just say, okay, that's working, we know that's working, now we can focus on getting something else right. And it's very very beneficial to get stuff right to start with, so that you don't have reoccurring problems because of those faults later on. That would be terrible. As was mentioned before, we have 23 new tutorial scenarios just for the engine designer, and I think all of you who bought into the game a little later and only have seen the coexistence of the Key engine and the Unreal Engine, or just about anyone who has never really gotten into designing really good solid engines, maybe you want to check out the 4 series of tutorials once again or for the first time, because these definitely are a lot better than just the 6 or 7 scenarios we had for tutorial purposes in the Key engine version. And of course there are plenty, but I have to give you a little disclaimer here. We are still in the process of balancing some of them, or well, most of them currently. Most are already very good ballpark balance, but some more extreme scenarios might still be far too hard or too easy. And that will be sorted out during the open beta phase. We are currently in our 4th iteration of a balance run, so the base functionality definitely is secured of the scenarios and they are playable, but they are not perfectly fine-tuned yet. So keep that in mind while starting out. You may want to wait a week about-ish for the next patch before you get a really solid and finalized scenario balance. So as you can see, there's more game coming back to the game, and part of that is the new engine scenario generator mode, where you can try to get to a really high skill score. And I wonder who will be the first to reach skill score 3000 and beyond. That would be genius levels of competence in this regard. So yeah, that will be fun. Also, don't forget to post your YouTube videos on how you do around rank 3000 and just how you smash all these scenarios. I, for one, would definitely be going to watch that. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, yes, so this is a new mode, and so far quite a lot of fun. I think during the open beta phase, we will at least take a look at maybe implementing Steam high score lists for this score, and I think that could be a pretty cool little competition. Another big little addition to the game, of course, are the V16s, and please have a watch of a separate video which talks about the V16s in particular, how to get them, and what the background info to them is, and what we have decided upon for how to distribute them, and so on and so forth. Other news you will like are that, look at this, we have brought back the airfield track and custom tracks in general. The old tracks should be working, so now you can race on whatever track you would like. Apart from all of that, of course, there are tons and tons of fixes, hundreds of them, and in general just a lot of polish, but also some bigger things you might find interesting. To those of you who have the unfortunate pleasure of running Windows 7 and upwards, but in 32-bit, we now have managed to make a 32-bit version of the game, so that you also can play. Also, with the switch over to the latest Unreal version and the latest version of Luajit, we have eliminated quite a few potential crashes that might have occurred in the previous public version. That was an issue with memory allocation that wasn't dynamic enough to really work. So what we had to do, oh well, it was shitting itself when it tried to do that dynamically. So what we had to do is to basically reserve a bunch of memory before it even started properly, like half a gig, and then hope for the best that it doesn't run out, which sometimes it did, and then crashed. But with the latest version, the actual dynamic memory allocation does seem to work fine, and hopefully that means that a lot of crash bugs are now just gone. Apart from that, there's also good news about the loading procedure. We have made small steps towards making it load faster. For instance, by not loading in or initializing all the cars, but rather what we do is just initialize the thumbnails, and they have baked in data about the cars, which then of course is a lot faster than actually loading in all the meshes and stuff. And then once you open a car, then it loads in the car. That makes a lot more sense and is quite a bit faster. You will still be seeing a black screen when you load the game though, and it still takes quite a while to initialize the engine. So before you even see a load screen, it will be quite a bit of black screen before. So don't fret when you see that. That is totally normal, and the only thing that is not normal is if it actually then throws an error and tells you that the game has stopped working. That should not happen. Just a black screen and your hard drive rattling along, that is entirely normal and anticipated. And finally, other good news are that we have the latest versions, or the latest current versions of the translations in the game as well. They are still quite rocky, some strings are still missing, but overall they should be a lot better than what you had so far in the public version, and a lot more complete as well. And that is true for the English strings as well. They have all been improved and should be pretty solid now. Anyway, so that's good. And also another big news is to all of you who are looking forward to getting modding back. And good news there. Yes, we have managed to move forward on that front as well. We are not quite done yet with it, but the first fundamentals are in place to make modding work again. Lastly, you may wonder, how long will this open beta take? Definitely not as long as the previous open beta phase, because there was so much more to do there. This is already pretty polished as is, and hopefully not too buggy. So I expect this, even in the first phase, to run rather smoothly, and yeah, after about 1 to 2 weeks of bug fixing, probably 2 weeks, let's say 2 weeks, we are going to push this to the public branch if all is in order, and then from there move on quickly towards building the car AI that will then allow us to make the light campaign happen properly. And that would not be a re-implementation of the Light Campaign V2, which you already have in the key engine, but a much improved version of it, where you actually can make facelifts of cars, reuse engines, and much better UI flow, and so on and so forth. We are really looking forward to getting going with that, but before then, we actually need to build the AI so that the car competitors can be built without the input from the testers, who in the previous Light campaign had to build around 2,000 cars to make that work. But anyway, yeah, the car AI as a whole is already on its way, and we have figured it out how it's going to be working, and we just need to implement it. And the just is in quotations, of course, but it is pretty similar to how the engine AI works, and from what we've seen so far with the engine AI, is that it's working really well. So yeah, hopes up that this will be reasonably quick to implement, and from there it's all about the campaign and the Tycoon part. And I think that wraps us up, and I hope you enjoyed and will enjoy this big update. Well, in the open beta already. So if you don't have joined in already, how do you do that? Well, you go to your Steam library, you right-click the game, select Properties, and then find the Beta tab, and there you select the Open Beta, and then let the game update. And that is how you join the Open Beta if you have not done so already. If you don't want to do that, if you want to continue playing the current public version, just switch to the default branch, and that will be all you need. Alright guys, then have fun, and see you around for the next little dev updates. Cheers!